What's up, Stitches, and welcome to the Ranney Knits podcast. I'm Justine, and this is my weekly podcast. No, it's not weekly. What are you talking about? This is my podcast about all the things I am making with my hands and yarn. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to episode 14. It is a sunny day in May here in the upper left USA. And I am out of rhymes. Let's talk knitting. Episode 14. That feels right. That's what I'm feeling today, is an episode 14 kind of day. The sun is shining and I am wearing my Zenon Zinone top by Andy Satterlin. It only has one name, but I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm going with everything. Just throw them all against the wall, see what sticks. And apparently everything has stuck because that's what I'm calling it. If you've watched the podcast before, you'll know that this is a brand new finished object. I am so excited about this one. So I started this, I think I started this in March. I have to double check that. I'll have to double check that, but I believe I started this last month. Got a little sidetracked by two other sweaters. Maybe I started, March wasn't last month. April was last month. Pretty sure I did start this in March though. We're just lucky that I know it's 2018 and not 2017 still, so like I call that a W. Anyways, I started this some time ago, got sidetracked with other projects, but luckily I was able to finish this just in time for the warmer weather, and it has been perfect. I have worn this, let's see, I finished this I think last week sometime, and I have worn this like 4 or 5 times. So I've already washed it once. The yarn that I knit this in is Claudia hand-painted yarn. I used a set, not a mini skein set, I think it was a set of 50 grams each, and it is their Oh Baby base, which is I think it's a 55-45 merino silk blend. Not exactly sure which one. I think the merino is the 55 and the silk is the 45, but I'm not exactly sure which is which. Anyways, it's got a beautiful drape to it. It's got that silky kind of glow sheen, and I am just in love with how comfortable this top is. So it took me a while. I got a little stuck on the lace, as you know if you've watched before, but once I had motivation, aka once I had warm weather, and I could actually picture myself wearing this outside and not freezing, I think that was a big part of me finishing this. So the top doesn't have stripes in it as written. I striped it because that's the yarn that I had. I didn't have enough yarn of one color, so I was starting to talk about this. I had two 50-gram balls of the natural color, which is this white, and two 50-gram balls of the salmon, which is the reason why I picked this yarn in the first place, because it was a salmon colorway. And as you may know, I fish for salmon in Bristol Bay, Alaska in the summertime as my summer job. So obviously I had to get the salmon colorway. And yeah, so I just did the top part. So you knit the top part flat, you knit all the lace, and then once I joined in the round, I started doing the striping. And so I did 4 rows of the salmon and 2 rows of the natural, and just striped down. So I'm going to pop up. So there was an option to do a cropped length or a full length. I chose the full length, and I used absolutely every bit of the natural color. I had just a couple inches really of the white left once I got done with the striping. And then there's just a little, I think it's about 6 rows of 1x1 rib at the bottom there. And that is it for the Zinone top. Okay, so I know there is a character in the movie Grease 2 who has the last name, and it is spelled the same, so I don't know if that's where the name for this top comes from, or if it's something entirely different, but I don't know. It's my Andy Satterlund top. So far it's held up from me most recently just scarfing down a barbecue slider. It's super messy. And yesterday I was at a taco truck food fest and eating tacos and other street foods, and miraculously haven't gotten anything on it yet, so it has held up. I probably baby my hand knits a little bit more than like just store-bought clothing, but I'm not super careful. Like, I wouldn't clean in my hand knits, and I probably would I put an apron on, which I don't normally do if I'm going to cook in my hand knits, but other than that, like, if they can't stand up to my normal lifestyle, then they're not really worth putting in all that effort. And also, I mean, I can either be super careful with my sweaters and keep them packed away and just look at them once in a while or something, or I'm gonna wear them. So, I mean, that's fine if you just like to knit things but don't actually like to wear them. I know that there are those people out there, but I'm not one of them. I'm gonna wear it. And yeah, that's me on wearing your knitwear. Let's move on to whips. So I have a whip that I haven't mentioned, and it's all tangled up in my necklace that I decided I didn't want to wear. I haven't mentioned this one in a couple episodes because I haven't worked on it, but this is my Kings County socks. Oh, and speaking of, this is my second entry to the Make What Your Mama Gave Ya make along, and I forgot to mention that at the top, but that is my knit along that I am running until next week. You have 6 days? 5 days? You have 6 days, I think. Yeah, I think it's gonna close on Sunday or sometime after Sunday. The Make What Your Mama Gave Ya is my make along that I have been running for, gosh, now it's been about 2 months, I think, and I am running that through my Ravelry group. That's Ranney Knits Podcast on Ravelry. The link will be down below, or you can search Ranney Knits Podcast in the Ravelry group's search bar. Anyways, that's the make along. If you're interested, you have a week. Not requiring like yardage or even FOs or anything, so if you want to join in, like, feel free. This is my second entry, and these are my Kings County socks that I started in March when the make along started, and have gotten, this is the first sock, so yeah, that's sock mojo is still not really happening, but anyway, yeah, and this is knit with Ara Ukania yarn that my mom got for me, and this is a wool silk blend. And it's interesting how different that this wool silk blend is. This is like crackly, I don't want to say crusty, but you know, that like silk that's like feels a little bit more like fibery, and what's the word I want? Feels a little bit more like fibrous and sticky, whereas this is very like silky and smooth and soft, and so it's kind of perfect. I mean, that's what you want in socks. I wouldn't want a pair of socks knit up with this silky smooth stuff, because they would probably just slide right off your feet. So this is like crackly. I don't know. Words fail me. Anyways, But yes, so this counts because my mom gave me this yarn, and they're not going to get done. I know they're not going to get done because I've been distracted with other projects. I will get to that later. But yeah, Kings County socks. I turned the heel since I last showed these. So that's exciting. So there are two things that are making me want to work on these socks, albeit very little, but I have worked a tiny bit on these. The first thing is I started using this little stitch counter guy. It was very cheap. I think I picked it up for like $2 at a knitting store, and it might be Clover brand, I'm not really sure. So it is just a very, very simple little stitch marker counter tool that is not the greatest. It's a little bit big, it's clunky and kind of annoying, but it is saving me a lot of counting. So before I was just keeping track of how many rows that it had been since I last did a cable twist, and it was just a lot of counting, and it was very slow, and it was kind of putting me off working on this. So now I'm just moving my little marker, and it's nice that it's got a like stitch marker holder thing, so I don't have to go looking for this. It's just hangs out on there, and it's clunky, but it's helping a lot. It's helping more than it's getting in the way and frustrating me. So that's the number one thing I did that was helpful. The number two thing, the second thing I did that is making this go a lot faster is I started cabling without a cable needle. So before I had my cable needle in my project bag that is not here, has disappeared. But like now I have no idea where my project bag is, therefore I have no idea where my cable needle is. So whenever I wanted to sit down and work on these, I had to go find the cable needle. And also the cable needle's kind of, you know, it's a little bit slower. So I haven't worked with cables a whole lot. I think the last time I did any kind of serious cabling was working on my quill sweater, which was last September. So I don't cable a whole lot, but I decided to just try out cabling without a cable needle just to see how it goes and see if that would help me work on these socks. And it did, you guys. If you haven't tried cabling without a cable needle, you should do it. It's not that hard. I actually filmed a video with some of my first attempts at cabling without a cable needle, and maybe that'll go up. I haven't quite decided what to do with that. I thought it was entertaining for me, but on watching it back, it was kind of like, Learning to cable with no cable needle was kind of like, you know, learning to cable all over again, which really, if you've done it, isn't that hard. Like most knitting techniques, it's not that hard. You just have to, it's just like initial, like really steep learning curve, and then like you kind of get it. You go, okay, like this is doable. My yoga practice this morning was all about doing things as if you were a beginner, like just kind of noticing new things and just coming into your practice as a beginner with that beginner mindset, which was interesting, and it made me think about my knitting and how, you know, after you've been doing it for a while, you kind of get stuck into doing things the same way. You do the same bind-offs, you do the same cast-ons, and just kind of go. And I don't pick projects necessarily based on the techniques. Like if I see a technique that I don't want to use, I won't avoid that project entirely. I go with projects that speak to me, and a lot of projects that speak to me are very simple projects because those are the things that I'm gonna want to wear. So I try to pick projects that in some way are going to bring me out of my comfort zone. Not all the time, but most of the time. For example, this top, I haven't done lace in a long time. I wouldn't call myself a very strong lace knitter, but I just really liked the way this top looked. So I want to make things that I'm going to wear and I'm going to use. But it's good to go out of your comfort zone once in a while and try something different and try something new. And this is just like a really teeny tiny trying something new. It's not like some like mind-blowing difference. But it's good. Like, I don't know, I've been thinking about that because I've been looking through my yarn stash and kind of going like, ooh, I'd really like to make a pair of vanilla socks with this yarn, and mostly it's vanilla socks. I have like at least 3 skeins of yarn that I want to make a pair of vanilla socks with, and these socks have been, I mean, yes, these socks kind of killed my sock mojo a little bit. I haven't really been wanting to work on them, and actually this year I haven't really been wanting to work on socks, but I think it's good to try something new and make something that's different and not just vanilla socks. So I don't really know where I'm going with this. I thought that was going to be really profound, but it's kind of turning into word garbage. Yes. Anyways, so these are coming along. I worked on them a little bit and we're getting there. We're gonna make it with these guys. They're not going to be a forever whip. They're gonna get done, and I have a couple more sock projects, not vanilla socks. I have a sock project that I'm really excited for that I want to get these done so I can cast on that one, because that one's gonna be good. So my next whip has been taking up my attention for the past week. Kind of just been knitting on this constantly. This is my Sparkle Cardigan. It's a pattern by Hoagie Locatelli. And I've made a fair bit of progress. I think I'm about 2 inches before I can start the ribbing. And then I will do the button band and the sleeves. So right now it's just like an open vest. And I am knitting this with Knit Picks Stroll Tonal Pearlescent, which I don't remember, but there must have been a crazy good sale on Knit Picks Stroll Tonal yarns, because there's a lot of it in my stash. It seems like everything I knit is this stuff. And I did buy quite a bit of it last year when I started my Starting Point wrap, also by Hoagie Locatelli. And I was trying to choose colors, and I just kind of like bought a whole bunch and pieced together colors from that batch of yarn. So this color didn't make it into my Starting Point. I knit my Waiting for Rain shawl in one of my colors, in my Waiting for Rain shawl was this pearlescent. I also knit my, I think this is Lady of the Forest beanie by Morgan of Knitcraft and Knittery. So it's really interesting to see the difference on how this knits up when it's in a beanie form. This was knit with a US 2, I think, and I'm knitting the cardigan with a US 7, so it's quite a difference. I mean, you see on the beanie it's got this little self-striping kind of pattern going on, and this one, so the pattern is lovely. It's knit completely flat, and it's got this little textured sort of lace, very, very basic lace, nothing like this lace on the Andy Satterlund top, but really, really simple, but still engaging. Now you've got rest rows, but you also have some, there's a little bit of thought going into this. A little bit of a minor amount of thought going into this cardigan. But yeah, the way that the yarn is working up is pretty interesting, and of course it's going to blow out here. We've kind of got some interesting color patterns going on. So up here it did a little bit of striping, but not too much. And then as I went down, we've got a lot of pooling going on down at the bottom here. And when I was working back and forth on the right and left front, got a pretty clear stripy pattern on that one. So that looks more like what my hat turned out on these right and left front. But then as I joined the front, both front sides and the back side, then we've got a little bit more color pooling going on. So as far as the color pooling goes, I thought about alternating skeins. Well, when I started on the top here and it was just going so well and just kind of very, very subtly striping, I thought, oh perfect, I won't need to do this. On the left and right front, it was a little bit of a more defined stripe, which I thought, okay, as I'm going down now, at this point I sort of wish I had alternated skeins. I kind of thought with the commercial yarn I wasn't going to alternate skeins just because it should have some sort of definition, but as this is mimicking a hand-dyed yarn, it's you know, it's supposed to be tonal, but I don't know, it's pooling, and I think if I was working, oh man, it's a very angry gentleman out there. Anyway, as I was working on this, I completely lost my train of thought. There's a guy just like screaming his head off out there. He looks like he's okay. He's just frustrated by something. I'm so distractible. I just... As I was saying, I think if there was a bigger difference in between these shades and these color tones, this would bother me more. And also the textured pattern kind of masks that pooling a little bit, so it's not quite as noticeable as it would be, say, if I were knitting this stockinette. And I'm going with that because last night I had a moment of doubt and I was gonna rip back, you know, a good 10 inches or so. And not that this was like a particularly difficult knit, and it's not that it has taken me that long. Like I said, I cast this on like a week ago, so it's not that, it's just, that's hard. That's hard to rip back when there's not really anything wrong, like as far as pattern wise. It's just the way the color looks, and I think it's, especially on camera, you really can't tell. It's a little bit more noticeable in person, but yeah, I'm not gonna rip back. So as far as yarn choices go, that's where I'm at. Really just trying to use up all this Knit Picks stroll. And it's gonna make a really nice cardigan. As far as the pattern goes, it's a good pattern. I mean, it's a Ho-He pattern, so it's gonna be well written. It's gonna be, you know, spot on. These are marking all my decreases here, and everything's hard to see, but I do have little stitch marker decrease markers. Increase markers. I am increasing on this one because it is top down. Knitting a flat garment, of course there's going to be purling involved. So the non-lace rest rows are mostly purling. There's one straight knit row in between your lacy patterned rows. But I don't hate purling. It's okay, you know, and especially now that I've been working, you know, all of this, half of this is purling, so it's been good practice and it's getting me, you know, like I'm getting faster at purling. It's nice to be working on a project that takes a little bit of thought and a little bit more time versus just straight stockinette. I mean, like this one, once I got past the lace and joined, there was a little bit of waist shaping, but other than that, pretty much just stockinette other than working on the stripes. And that's fine, that's good, but I've been really enjoying this project as kind of like it's kind of been a palette cleanser project where I'm just focusing on repeats and not so much just knitting to get a finished product. It's just been really nice to slow down and do a purl row and then, you know, like put a little bit more thought than I normally would on just a stockinette. It's kind of fun to do the all over texture. That's what I loved about the Stay Wild Moonchild sweater, which was also knit flat. So there was purling and it also had a texture pattern. This texture pattern is a little bit more detailed. Obviously you've got the eyelet and the, you know, knit two together, or SSK. So it's a little bit more focused, but it just makes a gorgeous pattern. It's kind of a nice full circle thing, because last year I was working on the Starting Point wrap, also by Joji Locatelli. So it's, yeah, and I haven't worked on one of her patterns since that time, so it's kind of like, it's got memories of last year and memories of, that of course was when the Mystery Knit Along was going on, so I was working on that wrap along with, I think at the time it was something like 3,000 other knitters were working on that project. I think there were 3,000 project pages when the Mystery Knit Along was going on. So that was a really cool thing. And I met a lot of people through that I still, like through Instagram, I still am in touch with, so that's cool. These earrings are super fun. They're like, I don't usually wear big earrings, but I have joint custody of these earrings with my mom, and I have to send them to her soon. Oh, hello. But yeah, so of course that makes me want to wear them. Anytime I have to send something off to somebody, of course, or anytime somebody wants to borrow something of mine, that's of course when I want to wear it. I got some exciting news this week. I applied to be a brand rep for Stitch and Story, which is a company that is based out of the UK, and they sell lovely merino wool yarn. They have a chunky, and I think they call it a baby chunky or something, that's like slightly smaller but beautiful yarn in very trendy colors. You know, they've got the millennial pink and the mint and the blue and all the colors that I just love. And they also make kits with the wool, the needles, and the pattern that you need to make whatever project you want. So it's similar to We Are Knitters, or I think Wool in the Gang also does something similar. But yeah, so cute little projects. The packaging is really adorable. Yeah, so anyway, they put out a call on Instagram for brand reps, and I was chosen. So they're going to be sending me some of their yarn for me to try out and post about, and so I mean, what could be better, right? So I'm really excited about that. So that won't be starting until August, because I am headed up to Alaska in just about a month now to go commercial fishing. So I know, like, I'm gonna have to cut my nails. So I'm really excited about going fishing, and I'm really excited to come back in August to some lovely new yarn to try. Yeah, they were really nice about it, because I was a little bit worried when I got chosen that they would say like, oh well, you know, if you're gonna be gone for 2 months, you can't be a part of this. But they were super accommodating, so I'm really excited to work with that company. When I go fishing, we fish off a beach. We're not on boats, we fish off the beach, so we live in cabins, and it's a really nice setup, especially for me since I get seasick, so I don't have to spend too much time in any kind of floating craft on the water. And yeah, I'm really excited for it, but we have no internet. So obviously the podcast will be taking a break, taking a break from Instagram. It's really nice. It's a really nice way to just kind of unplug from everything. Yeah, so it's not gonna do well for Year of the Stash, considering I've got them sending me yarn once a month for at least 3 months. If you watched last week, you know that I made some stash acquisitions, and I might have made a few more purchases. So I had to make a secret purchase from Jimmy Bean's Wool, and in order to qualify for free shipping, I only had to, you know, like put 1 or 2 more items in my cart. And they do grab bags where you get a mystery bag of yarn, and those are very hard for me to resist apparently, and it was the perfect amount to qualify for free shipping. So I chose to do the fingering weight grab bag in the neutral. So you can choose so you have the choice of weight. So I think they had a fingering, sport, and maybe worsted as well, and also what type of colors you wanted. So there was a neutral, a blue, and I think maybe like a red or warm or something. So I chose neutral, and in my grab bag was this Titus Crucible in gray, and this is, I think I should have looked this up. So it's Titus Crucible, and then it says Bahram U. Bahram U. Sheep be true. I don't know if that's the company or so. Anyway, Titus Crucible. Titus Crucible. Wow, this yarn is just really bringing out my all the voices. But like, look at that, like Titus. That's intense. Yes. Okay. So this is a blend of 50% Wensleydale, 50% Wensleydale long wool, and 20% blue-faced Leicester, and 30% UK alpaca. So it is 100% British, and so that's this. It's cool. It's like a warm dove gray. Can you have a warm gray? For some reason, maybe it's just the reflection of my shirt, but I'm getting like kind of warm, almost rosy vibes from this. No, that's the reflection of, well, I don't know. You tell me. What do you think? Have you worked with this? It's kind of sticky and cozy and woolly and squishy, and it's got some halo to it, so I don't know. So this one's like a very typical like grab bag thing. Like, it's something that I've never heard of, I've never tried. I probably wouldn't pick up for myself. I wouldn't buy it off the shelf, but it's super interesting, and it is it's a color that I would obviously choose, so I call that a win. Just wonder, would this count for my knit along? I mean, my knit along's almost over, it doesn't really matter, but my make along is almost over, and it doesn't really matter, but I mean, technically I didn't choose this. Somebody else chose this. They didn't give it to me. I purchased it. Smells like British sheep. I guess this wouldn't count, but so that was interesting. Then, so the grab bags have 300 grams of fingering weight yarn, so you don't know like what you're getting, but you know you're getting at least 300 grams. So that's 100. The other 200 grams were 2 skeins of Sweet Georgia Tough Love sock in silver. I'm guessing the reason why they were in the grab bag was because they lost their label. So that's just the Jimmy Beans wool label, and then they just wrote on there. But I don't need the label on there. And this was a steal, just for these 2 alone. So they did well to send me all gray. I mean, that's a pretty safe bet. Obviously they had no idea what my preference was, but I'm digging the gray. When I got these, I went like, oh yeah, cool. Like, what is this? Like, I think it's about 850 yards of gray yarn, silver yarn. I mean, it's just beautiful. But it seems like every podcaster that I watch is currently knitting or has recently finished a Tenya by Caitlin Hunter. And it just occurred to me last night, I was watching somebody, and I went and looked, and this would be just the right amount, I think. And after already getting so much use out of this top, another short sleeve summer weight top is sounding very appealing right now. And I would just love it in this color. I would alternate skeins if I were to cast that on. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. Do I need a Tenya? I mean, obviously I need a Tenya, but do I need to cast on a Tenya post haste? Obviously I want to finish my sparkle cardigan first. And then, I've mentioned it before, but I am kind of stalking Caitlin Hunter's Instagram, waiting for her to come out with that next sweater that she's working on, with the crazy color work yoke detail. It's the purple one on her Instagram, if you haven't checked that out. And I did buy yarn for that already. So let me know what you think down in the comments, or if you have any other ideas for patterns for some. I mean, I could do socks. I was watching the Grocery Girls latest episode, and Tracy had just finished the socks that she made using Hohi's new pattern, with the stripes and the lace, and they are just gorgeous. And I have some contrasting yarn that would look great with this, but it seems like I have 2 skeins of it. If it was 1 skein, it would be socks, no problem, without even thinking about it. But I have 2 skeins of it. I think it needs to be a top. Anyways, let me know what you think. That is everything that I have today, so thank you so much for watching. Always appreciate it, and if you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up down below. If you would like to see more from me, make sure you subscribe to my channel. There's a, nope, that side. There should be something down here. There should be a subscribe link in this general area. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. When I draw prizes, I will be announcing a winner for my Make What Your Mama Gave Ya make along. That will be next week, so hopefully I will get a video in next week, and I can say that at least for a 2-week period, this was a weekly podcast. I know, right? I'm big time now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye!